Well, Democrats badly miscalculated in the November 2024 presidential election. A new book, The Fight, says both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were shocked on election night. Last weekend, Minnesota DFL leaders picked the new leader of their party. He was the deputy chief of staff for Governor Tim Walz. And Richard Carlbom joins us now. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning.
And congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Let me ask you, and I know I've talked to Governor Walz, were you shocked by the loss?
I think many of us were shocked, and it took us some time to think it through. But as you saw this weekend, folks are really fired up, and they're ready to fight back. And the devastating and very confusing actions out of Washington really are, I think, sparking a moment for us.
Yeah, I'm really, because you were at that gathering in Wilmer with 750 people with very little advertising. That is definitely a Republican area. That is so interesting. One of the things that it appears the Democrats really just got wrong was not recognizing that people were really upset with their bills. And the fact that interest rates were so high, but also just going to the grocery store was so expensive. What can you do to turn that around? Because the perception was that Democrats are the party of the elite.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think as a party, Democrats need to stop telling voters what to think, and we need to become curious about what they're facing. We need to listen to them carefully, and when we listen to them, they're going to talk to us about things like their concerns about the economy and potential job losses, the stability of health care. And as a party, I believe we will better connect with voters. We can build a better authentic relationship when we listen. We did this in 2012 in Minnesota when we defeated a hurtful amendment to the state constitution that would ban gay marriage. And what we learned then is when you have a conversation with voters, the conflict they feel can be unraveled, and you eventually can win them over and win their support.
Yeah, and for those who don't remember, Richard led the effort to try and successfully defeat an amendment which would have put in the Constitution barring same-sex marriages. It looked, in the months going into that election, it looked as if that was going to win. In other words, that same-sex marriage would be banned in Minnesota. This is just in 2012, folks. In the end, it was soundly defeated, and just months later, there was a law passed allowing gay marriage in Minnesota. There was a Supreme Court decision, of course. But I want to ask you, because that really looked grim from your side of the aisle for a long time, that election. What lessons did you learn about that election?
Well, a lot of times campaigns treat voters as persuadable, thinking we can go to them with 8 weeks to go in the election, make an argument, and win them over. What we did, and what I think Democrats need to do now, again, is listen to voters. And instead of treating them like they're persuadable, we need to think of voters as conflicted. I've not met one independent or disaffected Democrat that had voted for the other team in 2024 who are proud of it. They were deeply conflicted and couldn't make the connection, I think, with Vice President Harris, and ultimately we lost their vote. To win them back, we need to be curious about how we can help them sort through that conflict. And thankfully, we have we have more than a year and a half to go before the November 2026 elections.
Well, I think voters are really conflicted about Donald Trump. I mean, you talk to voters who are supporting Donald Trump, and many would say, I don't like the way he kind of uses bad words, and the way he talks about women, or whatever it was. He said, but he cares more about me and my pocketbook and my family and my own little economics. I mean, that was what happened there, and they voted for the economy.
Well, I think Minnesotans are seeing the truth right now, which is Donald Trump cares about trying to figure out how to give the biggest tax cut in U.S. history to billionaires. And he's doing that by doing two things. One, he's trying to gut Medicaid and healthcare. He's trying to figure out how to take healthcare away from Minnesotans. And two, this Trump tariff trade war that he started this week. He talks about the price of eggs going down. The only eggs that are going down are Minnesotans' nest eggs. Their retirement accounts this week really went down. And I had a friend on Friday morning send me a text at 9:30 saying, I'm at work watching my retirement account go down, down, down. And now the president is golfing. And that is what I think Minnesotans are seeing. There's four people who can stop these tariffs. They're the four members of the Republican members of Congress in Minnesota. Pete Stauber, Brad Finstead, they can actually stop these tariffs. Congress can roll these tariffs back. Amy Klobuchar had a bill passed last week in the U.S. Senate with 4 Republican senators supporting her that would roll back the Canadian tariffs.
Canadian tariffs,
right.
Yes.
And if Brad Finstad and Pete Stauber, Michelle Fischbach, and Tom Emmer stand up for Minnesotans, we can have the U.S. House actually roll those Canadian tariffs back.
And I do want to say that we have reached out to those members of Congress to try and get them on the show. They have an open invitation anytime they want to come, because we'd love to talk to them about this and other issues as well. Richard Carlbom, again, congratulations.
Thanks
so much for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay.